Good day, everyone. Have you ever finished a novel, closed the book, and thought, I know what happened, but I feel like I missed something important? You followed the plot, you liked the characters, yet something deeper felt just out of reach. That's completely normal. Because reading a novel like a professor isn't just about what happens in the story. It's about understanding how the author builds meaning beneath the surface. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that with clear, simple steps and examples from some of the most famous books. By the end of this lesson, you won't just be reading novels anymore, you'll be interpreting them like a pro. Let's dive in. What does it mean to read like a professor? Here's the big difference. A casual reader asks, what happens in this story? A critical reader or a professor asks, why does it happen, how is it being told, and what does it all mean? A casual reader asks, what happens in this story? Take Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, for example. A basic reading says, it's about a boy who discovers he's a wizard and goes to a magical school. A deeper reading sees a story about identity, the longing to belong, and the eternal battle between good and evil. Same book, completely different experience. It's not about overthinking. It's about thinking carefully. Basic reading is like watching a movie. Advanced reading is like studying how the movie was made. Let us discuss following the patterns. Professors are always hunting for patterns. Why? Because nothing in a great novel happens by accident. So start asking yourself, are certain images or objects repeating? Do similar events keep happening? Are characters behaving in predictable ways? Repetition is the author's way of whispering. For instance, if you keep seeing rain, decay in a novel, the author might be suggesting sadness, conflict, or moral decline. On the other hand, images of light, spring, or growth often point to hope, renewal, or transformation. A perfect example is the green light in The Great Gatsby. It appears again and again. That little green light isn't just a light. It stands for hope, the American dream, and a desire that never quite be reached. Remember, repetition, meaning. Now let us understand symbolism. In literature, almost nothing is just what it appears to be. A long journey isn't always about traveling from one place to another. It can represent self-discovery or personal struggle. A house isn't just a building. It can reflect a character's mind, their social class, or their emotional state. Look at Lord of the Flies. That conch shell isn't simply a pretty seashell the boys find on the beach. It represents order, authority, and civilization. The moment the conch loses its power, society on the island falls apart. So train yourself to ask, what might this object, action, or place represent beyond its literal meaning? That's how great novels deliver big, complex ideas without ever having to spell them out. Now let us pay attention to character development. Characters are never just people in a story, they're vehicles for meaning. The key questions to ask are, does this character change? What causes that change? And what does that change represent? A character who starts naive and becomes wise is often showing us the journey from innocence to experience. A character who refuses to change might represent stubbornness, fear, or moral failure. In Pride and Prejudice, Elizabeth Bennet begins full of prejudice and quick judgments. Through the story, she slowly gains self-awareness and wisdom. Her personal growth mirrors one of the novel's central messages, the importance of overcoming our own biases. So character change usually reveals the theme. Let us discuss how to identify themes. Now we come to the heart of any great novel, the theme. The theme is not the plot. It's the big idea the author wants us to think about. Common themes include love versus sacrifice, the corrupting influence of power, the search for identity, and society and injustice. In George Orwell's 1984, the story isn't really about one-man life in a dystopian world. It's a powerful warning about power and control, constant surveillance, and the terrifying loss of personal freedom. Instead of asking what happens, start asking, what is this novel saying about life, about people, or about the world we live in? Now let us discuss context, history, and culture. No novel is born in a vacuum. Every book is shaped by the time, culture, and personal experiences of its author. A novel written during or after a war will often explore fear, loss, and survival. A novel from a colonial background may deal with power, identity, and resistance. Take Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart. When you understand the history of European colonialism in Africa, the novel's exploration of cultural conflict, identity crisis, and the pain of change becomes so much richer and more powerful. Always ask, what outside forces and historical realities might be influencing this story? Now let us discuss the narrator. Here's a step many students forget. Don't automatically trust the person telling the story. Ask yourself, who is narrating? Are they reliable? Are they hiding something or seeing things through a distorted lens? An unreliable narrator can create irony, tension, and much deeper meaning. This technique introduces doubt, making the story more intriguing and layered. It challenges the reader to look beyond the surface. In The Catcher in the Rye, Holden Caulfield is the narrator, but his emotional instability and personal biases mean we're not always getting the full or accurate truth. That gap between what Holden says and what's really happening is where a lot of the novel's power lies. Sometimes the story isn't the truth, it's just a version of the truth. So here's your simple 6-step professor method you use with any novel. First, spot the patterns. Second, decode the symbols. Step 3, analyze how characters change. Step 4, identify the main themes. Step 5, consider the historical and cultural context. And step 6, question the narrator. Let's quickly apply it to George Orwell's Animal Farm. Patterns, those repeated slogans, 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. Symbols, the animals clearly represent real political figures. Napoleon's gradual corruption shows how power corrupts. The theme is power corrupts absolutely. The context is the Russian Revolution. The simple, fable-like tone makes the dark critique even stronger. Suddenly, what looks like a simple children's story about talking animals becomes a brilliant political allegory. Now it's your turn. Pick up any novel you're reading right now and start asking these questions. What patterns am I noticing? What might these symbols really mean? What deeper message is the author trying to share? If this lesson helped you see literature in a new way, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button for more literature lessons. Drop a comment telling me which novel you'd like me to break down next. And share this with a friend or classmate who also loves reading. Keep reading deeply, my friends. The more questions you ask a novel, the more beautifully it opens up and reveals its secrets. I'll see you in the next lesson.